हेलो एवरीवन, वी आर बैक. हमारी पॉडकास्ट के फर्स्ट एपिसोड के बाद वी आर बैक फॉर द सेकंड. एंड बहुत बड़ी चीज़ें हो गई आज. कुछ लोगों ने सोचा था, बट नॉट ऑल ऑफ अस. वी थॉट इंडिया माइट फाइट ऑन एंड गेट अ ड्रॉ, बट ऑब्वियसली नहीं हुआ ऐसा. 227 रन लॉस. रफली 1.5 सेशन सर्वाइव किए, 9 विकेट्स. लॉस्ट 5 इन द फर्स्ट एंड the remaining, I think, 4 in the last session. So, pehle though, let's take some thoughts on this defeat. How bad is it? Can we let it go? Because one thing that a lot of experts and everyone been saying, ki, like for example, I heard Mark Kuchar also say, ki, when England won the World Cup, the next test they almost lost to Ireland. तो मे बी एक अमेजिंग हाई के बाद इट्स टफ टू कॉन्सेंट्रेट. सो पहले तो थॉट्स ले लेते हैं. सो वन फीडबैक दैट वी गॉट वाज विल नॉट स्पीक ओवर ईच अदर. तो एक एक करके विल स्टार्ट फ्रॉम प्रणव एंड देन सिड एंड देन दर्शील एंड देन पीयूष.
Yeah, Mark is right because we were also discussing for past few days that the highs of Brisbane are they're still sinking into the team, and you could see a bit of not complacency, but maybe after they climbed such a steep mountain in Australia, they probably felt like everything is done, and now this must not be such a big challenge. So clearly the intensity levels of the players was down because I mean, even before teams have come and even England themselves have come and scored 400 500 runs against us, but we've been able to counter that with our batting. But this time around it felt different. The body language was very negative. Only Rishabh Pant showed any kind of enthusiasm throughout. I mean, it was so quiet कि उसके words शब्द एकदम clearly सुनाई दे रहे. Morale down हो रहा है, सब लोग ऊपर आओ, सब लोग अपना so it felt like either they were still in that mode or a little bit of complacency also there. But of course, full credit goes to England that they prepared very well and they set out all the plans, whatever they had, they executed it almost to a T. Even yesterday that we discussed that, did they go a little negative by declaring a little late? But as Root said, they wanted to ensure that India doesn't, have a chance to go for the victory and they can only concentrate on taking 10 wickets. So, and they have executed it, much to
Yes,
most
right.
people's surprise. So, credit to them. And of course, it is a big setback for India to lose quite comprehensively. But sometimes it's good. We need a bit of a wake up call because we were on such a high and now back to square one. And we have shown that even after going down badly, we can recover. So I'm hoping, based on 2017 series against Australia and away against Australia, that we bounce back. So yeah, that's
ये
from
तो है.
me.
I think Kohli even pointed that out. Ki last time also England actually got runs, but the difference was that India also made enough runs ki draw now. So chalo, we'll move on. Sid, what do you think about
So I
how bad
personally
is this
think,
loss? Is
that like losses of such a manner in our home, in our backyard, are very humiliating to teams like England who have historically struggled away from home. They got lost the last series in India 4-0. They lost the last series in Australia 4-0. They got smashed in New Zealand the one test as well. So like the bar that we're setting, that our team management, Ravi Shastri, compares this team to like the greatest teams in history. So he compares us to Australia 2001, West Indies. So agar that is the bar udhar hame jana hai, so we can't have that these off days ki high hua so we can be complacent. Like if you have to be one of the greatest teams in history, then you have to keep that ruthless mentality every game and not like itni buri tarah se nahi aa sakte. You are allowed to have bad days, but the manner of defeats that we had in New Zealand, in Australia, like the 36 all out was an abject surrender. Either like if that is the bar we're comparing to, I personally don't think like these results can go. And England also did, like as you said, almost lost to Ireland, but they did bounce back and bowl Ireland out for just
yeah,
38
that
in the
is true.
last series. So they bounced back.
मे बी अपना एक हैबिट बनता जा रहा है फर्स्ट टेस्ट थोड़ा सा लाइटली लेने का, या फर्स्ट गेम. इट हैपेंस क्वाइट ऑफन कि द स्टार्टिंग गेम ऑफ अ सीरीज और अ टूर इज like thoda sa lackluster, and then we catch on.
Mhm.
Hopefully we do that. Darshil, what do you think?
Yeah, so I think a lot of things have to be put into perspective for this loss. I mean, yes, definitely it's a bad loss, losing at home to England. But yeah, we have to think there are multiple factors to that. One, that England is coming from a tour of Sri Lanka where they have played on a lot of spin wickets. So they are
Yeah, but
much more,
actually credit to England, just because I
yeah,
wanted to intercept here, because they actually rescheduled the tour to ensure that they play in Lanka just before they come here. So credit to
exactly.
them. They took it seriously. They wanted to have the best preparation. Yeah, you can continue
Correct.
now.
Yeah, so that's one of the things. And then Joe Root is in the form of his life. And
Mm.
if you look at our Indian team, we were if most of these players were in Dubai or UAE playing for IPL, from there they moved to Australia. So they haven't played a lot of domestic cricket. Like if you think in terms of Indian pitches, they haven't had as much quality match practice as probably England had facing Sri Lanka in Sri Lanka on the turning tracks. And yeah, there are on these kind of wickets, the first inning score becomes very important, which England did get well. And I think India had a couple of unfortunate moments. I personally feel there's an analogy that had that Joe Root, around 90 odd runs, played a reverse sweep through point region, and it was in the air, and the point builder had just been moved, and that was the only half chance he gave. And I
Mm.
think for us, that batsman was Pujara, and he was also playing a flawless knock before that unfortunate incident happened. And I think these are
True.
on such wickets, definitely these are probably the only half chances batsmen give. And
That
we
is
needed
there.
someone to kind of carry through. And that unfortunate incident probably curtailed our first inning score by a lot. Um, I think Pujara was looking set for at least 120 odd runs. So that would have basically stretched the game a lot more, and then probably brought it at par or at parity level. And from there, it would have been more of a draw rather than a match, contest to save the match. And I think last day batting five to survive. I mean, it's always been tough for any team, not just India. It could be England or any other team. They would have faced equal amount of challenge in surviving on a day five pitch in Chennai. So I think the toss played a major factor, and I think England's preparations were better. The good thing I see from this defeat is that India did not, except for a few players, probably. I mean, I don't see that India did not literally throw their wickets away. So it was not a case of mentality. I think the players did get good deliveries. So probably we lost to a better opposition, but it was better prepared for this day. But I think definitely we can bounce back. There are not a lot of glaring issues
Yeah,
that need
sure.
to be addressed. And yeah, I think we really missed just Jadeja in this. I mean, it would have been
100%.
massive
Yeah, I
in
think he
terms
would
of
have been a game changer, because if people like Leach, I mean, no disrespect, obviously, but if Leach is able to get like seriously good deliveries, I mean, he was getting it turning right off the pitch, right?
correct.
तो अगर वो कर रहा था ऐसा, तो फिर जडेजा तो
I would like to intercept before.
हाँ,
In Leach's defense, Leach knows kind of how to bowl on such pitches, because Somerset, where he
yeah,
plays,
yeah, exactly.
it
There's a
a
lot of
similar kind
spin.
of pitch on day five. So this, if you ignore that Rishabh Pant totally destroyed his confidence in the first innings, he actually has more of the tools than even a Dom Bess on this kind of wicket to get. And even 2018 Sri Lanka series, he picked about 18 or 20 wickets. So he
Yeah,
has the ability to bowl on these pitches. Just the first innings was not a fair reflection of his ability.
true, true, definitely. Or one more
Yeah,
thing
so
interesting before moving to,
exactly.
Rashid, you finish.
No. So I mean, all of these factors did play a part in why we lost. So it's not like a case of a massive introspection. I think the second match we have will give us a bit more indication about how we are headed as a team, how we recover from this. And the best part today, if anyone can see, I think was Virat Kohli's form and confidence. He was before the ball he got out, he was at 99% control, and that's freakish. Like on a day
Hmm.
five pitch, he
ये
had
तो है.
99% control. He got out to a ball that was a grubber. I mean, anyone, any day, anywhere could have been out with that delivery. Before that, he had zero false shots, and there were four shots that came in the category of probably false. Those were the ones where he played the straight bat, no edges, nothing. So I think that's a good sign for India
That
that
was a great
he's
move.
coming back in form. So yeah, probably we can look to a more interesting series. And I think this is what we would want. Ideally, I mean, as a fan of cricket, and who enjoys test matches, I think I'm definitely sad that India lost, but I think this makes the series much more competitive. Like India comprehensively beating
Right.
Australia and Gabba, and then again like easily rolling over England wouldn't. I mean, like yeah, it's nice to have the domination kind of thing, but I think these make for better test matches in terms of better and more interesting test series. Is that is more for the game. Like even England will be now much more pumped up for this.
Definitely. I think one important thing that is happening of late, West Indies winning in Bangladesh, England, obviously it was Sri Lanka, whatever, but it was still Sri Lanka and England were inexperienced. So, Abhi, there are teams that are coming back. So, chalo, before moving to Piyush, I just wanted to add one more thing. So, we discussed yesterday, ki should we go for a draw? But Aaj, apne players, they were definitely going for the win. The way Gill was playing, the way Rahane tried to like play through the covers, proper stroke. मतलब it was not कि block नहीं कर रहे थे. And I mean there was until I think Ashwin came in जब तक एकदम clear हो गया था. Even Pant was also मतलब अपने stroke से खेला था. तो what do you think Piyush? पहले तो thoughts and then yeah.
मेरा तो यही था, मैं तो जैसे अपन लोग कल डिस्कस कर रहे थे और मैंने बोला भी था कि ड्रॉ के लिए जाना चाहिए, पर स्टार्टिंग से वो था कि पुजारा का विकेट बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट था और पहले सेशन में ही स्टार्टिंग में ही पुजारा का विकेट मतलब दैट वाज अ गुड बॉल फ्रॉम लीच, अगेन बहुत बाउंस हुआ, एज लगा, पर पुजारा के आउट होने के बाद तो मतलब फिक्स था कि अपना मैच बस बचा सकते हो अगर तुम कैसे भी बचाओगे तो, क्योंकि अगर पुजारा के साथ जैसे पुजारा का ब्लूप्रिंट था कि पुजारा एक तरफ से कंटेन कर सकता है और दूसरी तरफ से दूसरा प्लेयर स्ट्रोक खेले, तो वो क्या रहता है कि एक वो रहता है कि यू कैन गो फॉर आइदर, पर पुजारा आउट होने के बाद एक था कि बस अब एक ही जीत था, वो ड्रॉ था। पर उसके बाद भी मतलब मोर डिसअपॉइंटिंग ये था कि इंडिया में और चेन्नई में हारना अगेंस्ट दिस इंग्लैंड साइड वाज अ वेरी शॉकिंग परफॉर्मेंस, क्योंकि आफ्टर आई गेस 22 years, after 22 years and after 2012 I guess there was first or second visiting team that won in India or something like that.
Yeah, second after Australia.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
like
actually
won.
in the last 51 tests, this is only the fifth test defeat for
Fifth
India.
loss.
So
तो वही
Yeah, one more thing I would like to
Definitely
add जो पीयूष कह रहा था ना उस पे, like जो last दोनों टेस्ट मैचेस जो इंडिया के थे इन ऑस्ट्रेलिया, the Sydney Escape and Brisbane, दोनों में मतलब फोर्थ इनिंग में पुजारा played 200 plus balls, and I think वो जो माइलेज निकाल लेता है bowlers के through, that the bowlers get tired by the time they come back for their fourth and fifth spells, accuracy कम हो जाती है, तो वो नहीं हुआ. Even if पुजारा पहला सेशन शायद निकाल लेता, probably we could have saved the match, but again like he got a good delivery, like ऐसा तो था नहीं, तो again
और पर पुजारा कैसे भी मेरे को लगता है इस पहले टेस्ट मैच में मुझे जो गेम स्टाइल उसका ऑस्ट्रेलिया में था और जो माइंडसेट अभी था पूरा चेंज लग रहा था, मतलब जो पुजारा जो ब्लॉक करता था सब कॉन्टिनेंट वो मोर कॉन्फिडेंट फील कर रहा था कि बॉल में इतना वो नहीं, और ठीक है उसके लिए बिकॉज ही हैज डन वेल इन इंडिया एज वेल पुजारा,
I think उसके लिए कोई
it was
problem
a
नहीं है.
hard defeat to take, but it's a wake up call for India now, because now they cannot afford to lose or drop or do any mistake. If they lose one more test, World Test Championship is gone, so there's no coming back after that. So it's no margin for error. You have to get everything right from straight go your team selection. You can't always blame the toss because toss is like luck based.
absolutely.
So the thing is बहुत सारे लोग टॉस को कर रहे थे, पर अब देखा जाए तो फर्स्ट 3 days में पिच वैसे ही था, अपन लोग के बैट्समैन बहुत रश शॉट्स और बहुत अनलकी थे फर्स्ट इनिंग में. अगर अपन लोग 460 470 या 480 भी बना लेते तो एक चांस रहता कि हाँ चलो अपन लोग उनको जल्दी आउट करके चेस कर सकते हैं या XYZ सिनेरियो हो सकता है.
तो फिर इंग्लैंड भी का अलग माइंडसेट हो जाता, वो भी फिर ब्लॉक करते हैं, वो कोशिश करते हैं
प्रेशर में उन्हें डालते हैं.
वही पर वही
I was saying this only, 100 runs also more. Even if 100 runs more we had got, that would mean England have 140 ka lead. So again, more time is eaten out of the game. So that was the main thing. That the only sad part was that okay, once England made 570, it was unlikely that India could win the match from there, because rarely has teams lost crossing 500. So if India had just shown just some amount of application, this match would have been a draw. So that's like as Piyush said, rash shots also were there and maybe a little bit of bad luck. But in general, the attitude in the first innings was very weird. I mean, from the start, we were going at 4-5 and over, and then you're losing wickets as well. Then we went into a shell, and then of course, before Pant came and played a blinder. But I just, it was very happy-go-lucky kind of attitude in the first innings that actually has cost us the match. I like the attitude today actually because, like I said, positive cricket but not reckless. It looked all right at the start, but unfortunately, Pujara ke jaane ke baad, it was always an uphill
Very
battle
good.
because nobody who could actually just hold one end up, as Piyush was alluding to, nobody could hold an end up, and then other side say we attacked, and then uh, Anderson came and like the wily old foxes, he got Gill out, and
Yeah,
then of course Rahane, like I was saying,
Like
I
over
don't
there,
trust
I'll
him.
just say Gill got a good delivery. So you could, if you see the replays, there was a dust ball, that ball
Gill was
puff
a
of
good
dust when the
delivery.
ball came in. So not only did it reverse, but it kind of moved a bit of the pitch as
Right.
well. So
But for
that's another
Rahane,
thing. I mean, like Rahane's dismissal probably was the most disappointing of all of them. His bat hit his own pad and created that gap. So I mean that was there. But
the
I think
gap was bigger than the gap between his best knocks.
but हाँ वो तो है पर
That
आज
is,
का
Full beeves.
I mean,
कॉन्फिडेंस टीम में मतलब वो एनर्जी और जो एंथुसियाज्म एक ऑस्ट्रेलिया सीरीज में था वो होम सीरीज में दिखा नहीं पहले मैच में मतलब वो जो एक क्या रहता है कि यू हैव कम फ्रॉम अ गुड विन और यू हैव टू कंटिन्यू दैट मोमेंटम बिकॉज यू नो व्हाट इज एट
Exactly.
स्टेक
ये तो है.
तो
I think
वो
इसका
वो
पीयूष बोलो
नहीं
बोलो
दिखा
sorry.
मतलब वो एनर्जी नहीं
yeah,
दिखा
yeah,
मतलब
exactly.
फील्ड डे वन से फील्ड में ना वो इमोशंस जो ऑस्ट्रेलिया सीरीज में थे मतलब वो प्लेयर्स के चेहरे में आप इमोशन देख सकते हो
I think
वो मेरे
Ashwin
को
ने जो
मिशन
बोला
नहीं
था
लगा
ना over here, I think Ashwin said, that with India no longer playing Pakistan so often, we consider Australia our greatest rivals. So I think playing Australia brings out that extra edge. मतलब it's like
It
when
does.
Federer plays
You
Nadal,
have to give
Federer
your
का game अपने आप
100%
better हो
every
जाता है.
match.
Agree.
So
ये
I
तो है.
think probably we are like more pumped up for Australia than like England or any other teams.
Yeah,
और
So I
एक
think
जो
yeah, because they've got such
हाँ,
close matches, and beats from Sydney ka controversy, or in fact from the World T20 semis till now, India Australia, there's always that fire there in the series, and Australian media going after the Indian team, Indian players, and all. So it's a proper rivalry. India England, वो same rivalry है ही नहीं फिलहाल. I mean, maybe this series will lead to that, and it will be good if India and England also have a rivalry, because it's important for India to also have teams who can push them to their next limit.
yeah, definitely.
Again, like every match, you have to give more your 100%. Like you can't keep your best for certain teams. Like if you have to become, as I was saying, if you have to be
नहीं, नहीं,
compared to
बराबर
like the
बोला.
greatest teams in history, I personally think कि हर match you should give every bit that you have.
No, absolutely. I'm not disagreeing. I'm just saying that I hope maybe India
Yeah.
England का भी एक rivalry हो, so we can consistently try to raise our game when we
ये
face.
Theoretically तो इंग्लैंड के साथ सबसे बड़ा rivalry होना
लगान
चाहिए.
के टाइम पे
हाँ
है लेकिन
हमको
लगान के टाइम पे चल रहा है.
वो इन
also
लोग
West
we have a
Indies are more pumped up for every England match than India is for every England match.
also we have a new guest हमारे नए expert Amin is here. Hello.
Hello, I mean,
माइक तो ऑन कर लो आप. आ गया.
And
Yeah,
keeping
no,
up with
no
the tradition
problem.
of the reverse sweep, किसी एक ने तो फुटबॉल जर्सी पहना ही रहेगा.
हाँ,
क्रिकेट पॉडकास्ट में.
चलो we'll
क्या
move to the
जीतेंगे World
next
Test
topic.
Championship हम.
We'll move on to the next topic, Pranav's favorite and my favorite also. So, question is simple. आज के that one over that Anderson bowled, that's probably in these conditions in the last 7-8 years मेरा तो best देखा हुआ है in these conditions. So, is Jimmy Anderson the greatest of all time when it comes to pace bowlers?
All time.
Who
Like
goes
or
first?
this generation.
Obviously, this generation मतलब all time तो देखा भी नहीं हमने पुराने लोगों को, but जितने हम लोगों ने देखा है मतलब 90s onwards मान लो 95
like
onwards.
He's the most improved bowler.
हाँ,
I've
just
seen
one
for a
more
while,
stat. I think
because
Pranav mentioned it last time also कि ईशांत का average has reduced by 6. I was just reading Anderson before he turned 30, उसका
Right.
average कुछ
34,
35,
35
36 ऐसे था, and अभी 30 होने के बाद it's 23. तो
right.
it's
and
crazy. And
since
आज तो
2017, Anderson's average in away conditions is 23.41. Before that, it was 35.36. So
he's
it's a
definitely
huge
doing something.
improvement.
तो अभी तो चलो फिर we'll start with
Okay.
Piyush. What do you think, Piyush? Who in our generation, अपने generation में who is the best pace bowler? Jimmy Anderson, 600 and I don't know 611 wickets. He's going to
Anderson-
break Kumble's record in this series, hopefully. Not hopefully in the sense
If
that, but yeah.
अगर सब चीज देखेंगे तो हाँ मतलब देयर आर वेरी लेस बॉलर्स मतलब बहुत कम बॉलर्स है जो इतने विकेट्स और इतने कंसिस्टेंटली परफॉर्म किए हैं मतलब अब लास्ट 4-5 साल लोग बोलते हैं कि होम कंडीशन में अच्छा करता है और ही नीड्स सपोर्ट फ्रॉम द कंडीशंस टू बॉल वेल, बट
Clouds.
क्लाउड
बादल बड़े
क्लाउडर्सन
इम्पोर्टेंट है.
क्लाउड बादल
चेन्नई में तो
बहुत,
नहीं दिखे मेरे को.
पर जैसे फर्स्ट इनिंग में वो कोई इतना इफेक्टिव नहीं लगा, पर सेकेंड इनिंग्स में जो उसने बॉलिंग की, मतलब वो जो एक ओवर था, मतलब बहुत, मतलब टॉप क्वालिटी पेस बॉलिंग, मतलब प्रॉपर
ट्रू मैन,
प्रॉपर नो सपोर्ट ऑफ पेज, इज जस्ट क्लास, मतलब वो बोलते हैं ना
बिल्कुल रिवर्स
कि
स्विंग, उसके बाद
रिवर्स, और
छक्का
उसके
के
बाद
Malay, over here reverse swing की बात है. So if there was an interesting observation made during the match also, okay, Jimmy Anderson, I don't know how, probably some technique because of experience, his ball was reversing a bit more late compared to Indian seamers.
It was very late. It was very late reversal.
बहुत लेट रिवर्स हो रहा था. लाइक हमारा बॉल
हम्म.
पहले ही टीर होना शुरू हो रहा था बुमराह निशांत का.
Right,
जिमी का
right.
बहुत लास्ट मिनट टेल इन हो रहा था. I mean,
इसलिए
I don't
वो
know how he
अश्विन
did it, but he did something different definitely, even with his reverse swing.
और
इसलिए
मैं-
अश्विन और कोहली इसलिए कंप्लेन कर रहे थे एसजी बॉल के बारे में. नो वंडर.
England just outplanned us, man. मतलब
Yeah.
right from the start, when they said they want to get 600, we were like, क्यों 600 बनाने हैं? But they proved कि that is the way to go. Then declaration पे we were all like कि बन तो गए हैं, but then they said कि no, we didn't want our bowlers to think कि you focus on conserve runs या कोई भी chance. So they just outplanned.
वो
and
क्योंकि रूट लेवल प्लान दे वॉच द ऑस्ट्रेलियन सीरीज और इंडिया कैसे अप्रोच की, मतलब इंडिया का एक मेंटल
true.
अप्रोच टू अ रन चेज, बिकॉज इंडिया 3 बार शायद 2 बार चेज ही कर रही थी, एक टेस्ट मैच ड्रॉ और एक वो,
उनका
तो
plan
वो
was bat out.
हाँ
हाँ,
वही था. और जिमी एंडरसन, मतलब और एक और रीजन है कि उन लोग ने पूरा वर्कलोड बहुत अच्छे से मेंटेन किया है, तभी वो 38 इयर्स में भी ऐसा खेल रहा है. अब
वही तो, वो भी
जैसे
उसके लिए भी लोग कितना क्रिटिसाइज किए
हाँ,
कि
क्योंकि
मतलब
उनके पास 4 या 5 क्वालिटी बॉलर्स है. आप मार्क वुड ले लो, स्टुअर्ट ब्रॉड, जिमी एंडरसन,
Right.
जोफ्रा आर्चर, और सैम करन भी अभी मतलब
क्रिस
अच्छा
वोक्स
ही,
भी है
Chris
in a way.
वोक्स भी है.
बहुत ऑप्शन
तो
है.
उन लोग ने जो इंग्लैंड की जो स्ट्रैटेजी है कि एक में 2 पेसर, तो उससे क्या है कि कोई भी पेसर ड्रेन आउट नहीं हो रहे हैं, और एक फुल थ्रॉटल में बॉलिंग करेगा एक मैच में, उसको पता है सेकंड मैच में वो नहीं खेल रहा है, थर्ड मैच में वो वापस आ रहा है. मतलब उनका वो कॉन्सेप्ट थोड़ा वियर्ड है, पर दैट इज हेल्पिंग देम
That
आउट.
is working at the moment.
अभी
Definitely.
क्योंकि इंग्लैंड का रीसेंट फॉर्म अगर आप देखोगे तो शायद दे वॉन इन
6 in 6.
श्रीलंका,
6 in a row.
हाँ 6 इन अ रो, श्रीलंका,
South Africa
साउथ
and
अफ्रीका एंड न्यूजीलैंड
South
नहीं,
Africa they won 4-1. New Zealand they lost 1-0.
हाँ 1-0, बट लास्ट 6-7 मैच में वो हारे नहीं है शायद तक, मेरे ख्याल से ऐसा कुछ.
6 away test जीते हैं लगातार.
हाँ तो वही.
And their coach also, the new guy Chris Silverwood, who was brought in specially for test cricket को figure out करने के लिए, he's coached in like 14 tests and 9 they've won. So
पर इंग्लैंड का तो ये है मैनेजमेंट, मतलब उनका जो
Top
प्लानिंग
class
है वो टॉप. आप वर्ल्ड कप के लिए देखोगे तो 2015 के वर्ल्ड कप के बाद उन्होंने पूरा स्क्वाड बनाना चालू कर दिया था, और हार्डली 1-2 चेंजेस आए थे 2019 तक. मतलब उनका 2015 से स्क्वाड पक्का था कि ये 15 प्लेयर खेलने वाले हैं ऑलमोस्ट,
correct.
प्लस माइनस 1-2.
बस
तो
Hill
वैसे
चला
लेकिन
गया
खराब
तो
मैनेजमेंट फुटबॉल में उसका
yes.
ऑपोजिट क्रिकेट में करते हैं वो लोग.
हाँ वही.
England management is similar to Man City's management. They're very well organized and क्या करना है and who should play for which format. Like Anderson and Broad were told that
Man
this
City
is
की
their last.
Champions League में management.
But the
जैसे
way they
That's
handled
shark
it,
teams.
Anderson and Broad were told that they're not needed in limited overs cricket anymore. So
हाँ,
they have managed everyone's workload that way well. And also the thing was ki, the reason also they could manage it well was the way India approached. Like I said in the first innings, there was no consistent pressure put on any of the bowlers. They were constantly like losing wickets, and we were being put under pressure. So if the team management actually notices what England did, then they should try to put
So
some pressure on one of the main bowlers, so that Root has to be forced to give say an Anderson or a Archer, or maybe next match Broad and Vokes a longer spell, because England, of course, they have got spinners to try and win the Test match in India, but they still will trust their fast bowlers more than the spinners. So if you put their spinners under pressure, we can force the pacers to bowl more than they would like to, and that way would be a situation where we can upset their plans. I feel this is
one more point over here when you say Pranav about England's planning and management. So a lot of articles came when we were discussing India's win at Australia, that how Siraj has played many more matches compared to the debutants in the Australian team like Cameron Green. Siraj already had experience of 23 first-class games. I think England has done something similar. So Ollie Pope and even Sibley and Crawley and Lawrence. I think
I
these
think
players have
Lions
told
team
India
both है.
as a
And
part of the
Burns.
Lions group, जो उनका England A team है. So they have done a lot of tours of India.
Right.
And one of the most controversial decisions, which is still debated, is how England was one of the first big three to kind of give full consent for IPL, which I think always has played a massive role in improvement of English players in Indian conditions. So I think
Yeah,
IPL,
it's almost
Butler,
मतलब it's close to perfect मतलब the way they are managing stuff. And I mean sometimes the decisions look weird but it's working. अभी तो for example Butler is going now, तो अभी Ben Foakes will play. But I mean I won't be surprised if he takes
He
some
made
hit.
100 on debut in Sri Lanka.
Sri
He's
Lanka,
good to
so
get a
I
spin.
really
I
won't
think
be surprised if
Basically,
although-
what
some
Darshil
we're
is trying
going
to
away from the
say.
Jimmy Anderson discussion.
correct. Sorry, my bad.
Jimmy
That's,
Anderson.
so let's come back to the original point and take opinion. Piyush is, मैं अपना दे देता हूँ just in one line. Yes, Jimmy Anderson is the GOAT. We'll move to Sid. What do you think? Is Anderson the
I
best?
think like again like जैसे हमने कल शांत का भी discuss किया था, I think like ये दो level पे देखना चाहिए, like who is the more accomplished bowler throughout their careers and who is the better bowler at their peak of their power. Like
Maybe
so I
peak
think
yeah,
over
at the
the
end of their
career I
careers.
would
Yeah.
definitely take like Anderson has taken the most wickets of all.
Yeah.
And जैसे हम ईशांत का बोलते हैं, we see his career in two phases, that before 2016 he had a very high average and now he's become one of the world's best bowlers. And I think like Anderson का भी similarly देखना चाहिए. Like the common criticism was कि वो away matches में नहीं करता. Last 4 years he's averaging 23 away, 19 in Asia. So like and that his age is from 34 to 38. So उधर देखे तो he has like definitely the most accomplished fast bowler over the course of his career, over the course of his 15-16-year-old career. But I think like at the peak of their powers, if I had to take somebody like at their prime on a random pitch on a given day, I would still, of the bowlers I've seen, take Dale Steyn. But I think over the career, the longevity, the how he has managed his body, how his country has helped him manage his body, I think Anderson has had the more accomplished career, but at the peak of their powers, I would probably take Steyn.
Rashid? I know you
so
love Steyn.
I know I'm
disclaimer दे देता हूँ.
a hardcore Steyn fan, and I think I was always against the fact that Jimmy Anderson never had great numbers in Asia, especially. And I think to put in perspective this match, if you see, there's a YouTube clip of how Sehwag was smashing around Anderson during that 83 knock in 2008.
Yeah.
And then to come back and do this, I think speaks volumes about why he is in this debate about greatest of all time. I think given the fact that his longevity has allowed him to play and for a longer duration for England again against the top opposition teams, not just any team like India, Australia. He's been playing in the Ashes. He's been playing in the major series. I would probably now put him ahead of Steyn. As a Steyn fan, it's really hard pill to swallow. But I think Steyn, if he had a longer career, even by another 50 odd games, or even like maybe not as long as Jimmy, I think he would still have been. If Steyn was around 500, 600 wicket mark, I would probably put Steyn ahead. But I think 200 wickets is too much of a gap, and by the time Anderson retires, it will be probably around 250 odd wickets the gap. And I don't think I can then take Steyn over Anderson. So I think, yeah, definitely for this generation, Jimmy Anderson should be considered the GOAT. I mean, I don't know about the previous generations, but at least for this, I think he has edged out Steyn with his performances.
Hopefully 700. But it looks very tough. I mean, what do you think? आपको क्या लगता है? Is Anderson?
तो हमारा थोड़ा जनरेशन मेरा मैग्रेथ वाला भी आता है. तो if we keep McGrath out, क्योंकि चलो हमने उसका हाफ करियर देखा है, I think till 2007. So from our watching career, जिसका हमने पूरा करियर देखा, so it's definitely Steyn versus Anderson. And I think I agree with Sid अपना Trihan कि अगर मुझे किसी को एक impact देना हो, I'll go for Steyn. But longevity जो factor है Anderson का, that is huge. Playing 158 tests, I think 160 odd tests. हम जितना मर्जी बोले उसने ओडीआई नहीं खेले, कुछ नहीं खेले, बट इफ यू सी बॉल्स बोल्ड पर ईयर अगर हम देखा जाए उसका, दैट इज एट पार विद ऑल द बॉलर्स. हाँ, सो वो फैक्टर नहीं है कि यार वो मैचेस कम खेलता है जब वो बॉल्स कम करता है पर ईयर. So he's playing all the matches, and he's playing a lot of matches, and playing 160 matches for any bowler or for any cricketer is a huge for people, because we all know
Especially
cricket.
England में जहाँ पे there are so many players who keep coming in.
Exactly.
I was seeing, मतलब I think Jofra का number is 658 something, तो
वही
they are
हम बोलते
almost
हैं
close
कि
to, मतलब हाँ.
एंडरसन ने होम में मचाया है, तो वहां तो बहुत लोगों को चांस मिला होम में मचाने का.
Correct, exactly.
नहीं कि
मतलब
सिर्फ एंडरसन ने मचाया होम में. Everyone
वही
in
तो
England gets a
कब
chance
से
to
खेल
मचाओ
रहे
by at home. So the longevity factor is very very huge, and I think एक बॉलर के लिए longevity रखना बहुत टफ होता है. बैट्समैन के लिए फिर भी इजी रहता है, लेकिन उस हिसाब से आई थिंक एंडरसन गोट या विद अ वेरी हार्ड, क्या बोलते हैं उसको,
Asterisks.
हार्ड विद द फेलो, क्या आप बोल सकते हो. But I agree with Chetty also कि Stein, if you take the peak of the bowler, but
Definitely.
if you want to build a test team, you know, I want to build a test team for the next 10 years, और सेम टीम खेलेगी 11 साल के लिए या 10 साल के लिए, then definitely you will take Anderson in that team, no doubt.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Can I
Sarvik,
chime
do you
in?
want to say something or we'll move to Pranav? Sarvik is muted.
I'll
Yeah,
finish in
what
that
was the
time.
question?
Not much time.
Question was, is Anderson the GOAT? Just say yes, man. That's it.
He has
I
not
know
played
you
for
love it.
KKR. Sarvik will not agree.
Yeah, probably is.
बोलेगा आईपीएल नहीं खेला. एंडरसन
But-
आईपीएल खेला है, नहीं खेला है ना.
But
KKR के लिए नहीं खेला ना, खेला भी तो KKR के लिए खेलना चाहिए ना, तो ये
नहीं,
हिसाब
I
से तो
think
prove करता है.
I think he is one of the best, but maybe he's overrated. If he weren't white, he would be another Makai Antony, maybe.
ओ भाई ये तो अलग ही टेक है इसका.
Controversial
If he were not
statement.
English, well, perhaps he's English, so he's overrated more.
Yeah, he is a bit overrated, but he's really
एक
good.
बात भी और नोटिस करनी पड़ेगी कि आई थिंक अभी ब्रॉड और एंडरसन को बोल दिया गया कि आप दोनों एक साथ तो कभी नहीं खेलोगे.
हाँ, almost ये बोल दिया गया कि unless there is a
यूजुअली
big
वो लोग इतना
injury.
अच्छे नंबर्स ला रहे हैं.
हाँ, unless there
यार
is
इसका
a
एक एक्चुअली इंटरेस्टिंग क्विज फंडा भी है अभी कि why is Anderson not being knighted so far is because they want to prevent him being sledged in the Ashes. के अगर
Right.
सर एंडरसन हो गया Ashes के पहले तो ऑस्ट्रेलियन स्लेजिंग कर करके बहुत बैंड बजा देंगे. तो ये आया था एक्चुअली एक न्यूज़पेपर आर्टिकल आया था कि that is the only reason कि एंडरसन को अभी तक नाइट नहीं किया, because अगर Ashes के पहले अगर उसका नाइटिंग हो गया तो ऑस्ट्रेलियंस का तो फील्ड डे हो जाएगा. तो ये एक एक्चुअली इंटरेस्टिंग फैक्ट था.
But nice ring,
So-
Sir Jimmy Anderson. सही है.
Right. So
Pranav,
I'll
let's
just
close
finish.
this up. Yeah,
Right. So if we ignore all the hype and press that the English media gives him, I will and whatever overrated or whatnot, he's one of the greatest, but he's not the greatest. And since everyone is talking about numbers, let me just point out that okay, in Asia he did have a very bad average in Sri Lanka, and this last tour he did really well despite wickets diye ya nahi diye. He bowled with a lot of control, and this match also he has bowled well. So in India also around 30 is his average, which is not bad for Indian conditions for any bowler, but in Australia, he averages 35. In South Africa, he averages 35. In New Zealand, also, he averages in the 30s, which is considered to be good bowling conditions. Whereas Dale Steyn only averages above 30 in England, around 31. Everywhere else, he has a very good average, including Pakistan. So, and even Glenn McGrath, except Pakistan, where he averages 31, he has ridiculous numbers in all countries. So, if we are going to look at stats, we have to look at all the aspects, and based on that, I would not say he's the greatest bowler either of his generation or of all time, but certainly one of the best, because after having a back surgery, for any sportsman and especially a fast bowler, it is often a death knell. But he has come back, and he has become perhaps one of the arguably the greatest swing bowler itself, because he gets such late swing, and now he added reverse swing to his arsenal. So in terms of swing bowling, in our generation, there is nobody better purely at swing bowling, and the control he has. And his fitness is amazing. 39 years old, and he still wants to keep playing. So, and of course, credit to English board that they have managed him well. But his fitness level and ability to keep going on is what sets him apart. So his longevity is something I don't think no fast bowler will, except Broad probably, will take against 600 wickets in tests. I doubt even Bumrah or Rabada will be able to play as long, given that they're playing all formats and cricket is so condensed in a year. So credit to him for that. And if he gets knighted, he deserves it, because he has achieved quite a bit. He deserves knighthood perhaps more than some of the other people that they have given, because 600 test
Peterson is
wickets.
also knighted, no?
Is he? No. I think Alistair Cook is knighted.
MB.
Peterson को नाइट साउथ अफ्रीका ने किया था क्या?
Then Sir Benjamin Smith was right.
One of the top.
Knighthood is a scam anyway.
Yeah.
They keep knighting the murderers and them and all this.
सर सार्विक से दत्ता हो जाता है फिर।
बाकी मैं
No,
आगे
it's their civilian honor, so we can just let it be. It
Yeah.
doesn't have to. Yeah. So, but yeah, credit to him. Never been his biggest fan, as everyone knows, but today he showed his class.
He changed the
So
game. No doubt.
Today the balls just kept low. I don't think there was
No, the two
something
wickets
very
that he got,
special.
the two
but
wickets.
No, the
the
balls
late swing,
kept low.
ball,
लेट स्विंग यार, उसका स्विंग काफी
there was
लेट
late
था
swing. It was Gill was not beaten because of the bounce. He was beaten because of the movement. You can see he was his bat. You know, when he came down, if the ball hadn't moved, it hit the middle of his bat.
Yep.
So he was
Okay.
clearly beaten by the late movement.
But then Rahane ball kept low, right?
Rane was a
रहाने
Yeah.
बॉल
Bad.
kept low and Rahane
And
himself
gap.
hit his own pad.
Gap,
Bad
gap,
pad-
भाई gap
bad pad
इतना
gap.
बड़ा था यार. That
I
was.
think one that was really low, and I don't know if it was Kohli. I mean, कोई भी होता, although it was
हाँ,
Stokes
कोहली
again.
वाला तो ग्रबर था यार, that was,
But,
that was
I think
Yeah.
Rahane का जो LBW appeal था was also almost a grubber. It went below the bottom of his bat.
that should have been out actually, but at the
उसको
end-
आई थिंक हाँ उसके लिए कम मतलब
Was a bit
शर्मनाक
doubtful
होता उस बॉल
because-
पे आउट होना. Less controversy around him.
Actually, just a point, हम लोग discuss कर रहे थे when Rane came in and someone said 2 ball Rane. Pranav only said 2 ball Rane, and then first ball पे he was gone. Then he survived one more. and
यार वो
3
7
balls.
बॉल में 3 बार आउट हो गया वो.
तो
पूरे मैच में 7 बॉल खेले, 3 बार आउट हुआ 7 बॉल में.
चलो अगला वाला थोड़ा जल्दी हो जाएगा बिकॉज नेक्स्ट इज सेकंड लास्ट टॉपिक इज नेक्स्ट चेंजेस क्या करना चाहिए इंडिया को. मेरे हिसाब से मैं स्टार्ट कर देता हूँ. आई थिंक वी डोंट नीड एनी चेंजेस टू बी ऑनेस्ट. अपार्ट फ्रॉम नदीम, इफ यू वांट टू यू कैन ब्रिंग बैक कुलदीप, बट लॉजिक वही है कि अगर इफ यू आर so the logic for why you didn't have Kuldeep is everyone would be similar. That's what Kohli said कि सबकी bowling same हो जाएगी. तो that is a valid logic. तो आई डोंट नो हाउ इट वर्क्स कि अभी वो लॉजिक से वापस जाके विल यू गेट कुलदीप और विल यू गेट अक्षर फिट, और आई डोंट नो व्हाट टू डू. सो मेरे हिसाब से आई थिंक इट वाज जस्ट एन एबरेशन, तो इट शुड जस्ट बी द सेम. लेट्स सी आप लोग क्या बोलते हो. तो अमीन से स्टार्ट करते हैं. आपको क्या लगता है व्हाट शुड बी द चेंजेस?
मेरे हिसाब से नदीम का लास्ट मैच था ये, because he could not he just could not give us the control which he wanted in the first innings and the second innings both. Obviously we miss Jaddu like hell here. वो जड्डू आपको रन ही नहीं देगा. along with अश्विन, अभी सारा प्रेशर अश्विन पे था, along with the paces obviously. paces पे तो आते ही नहीं, वो तो बहुत ही excellent थे for the match I believe, right? नदीम I think time नहीं है उसके पास इतना भी. कुलदीप should definitely come in because we need some variance. वो हाथ घुमाने वाला और exploit करेगा, उसको चांस देना पड़ेगा, right? अब now the other option is Akshar Patel. If Nadeem goes out and Akshar Patel comes in, then I
Akshar is
don't-
rolled out of the series.
But where does it
Akshar
leave
is
Kuldeep?
not there for the second test also.
He is rolled out of the
Oh.
If
series.
Akshar Patel comes in, the changes are twofold. Na? Akshar Patel comes in, then basically even Washington Sundar goes.
No,
out.
but
That's
Akshar is
the
injured.
plan.
But Akshar
Akshar is
out.
injured, so let's not consider him
Let's
correctly.
not listen. But I think Kuldeep for Nadeem definitely 100% मेरे हिसाब से. तो बाकी तो टीम मैनेजमेंट पे. रेस्ट आई थिंक अभी तो जो है वो उसको चलने देंगे. आई डोंट थिंक चेंजेस होंगे. आई वांट वन मोर चेंज, बट ठीक है अभी जो है उसको चलने देंगे. आई थिंक नदीम फॉर कुलदीप will definitely happen.
वो क्या चाहिए कौन सा चेंज?
चेंज चाहिए क्या होता है?
Mayank in for Rohit.
नहीं मैं अभी रहाने को सीरीज देते हैं ना एक और.
रहाने
रोहित तो ठीक है, रोहित तो चल रहा है.
रहाने का तो there are
मेरे-
serious question marks to be honest.
Right.
हाँ, conundrum है.
But that is a longer term question mark than a
Long time.
right now question mark.
But
Bigger
Rahane
question
generally
mark, yeah.
scores well in the second test of the series. So this time maybe also he'll do that.
Let's see. हाँ वही
Let's see.
रहाने को भी माफ करता है. एक दो सीरीज
चलो,
And Rahane usually rises up when he has question marks on his
पर
spot.
विराट कोहली के
वापस आ रहे हैं.
विराट कोहली का प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस अगर देखा हो तो उसने क्लियरली ये तो स्पेसिफाई कर दिया कि बैटिंग ग्रुप में किसी
नहीं
का
होगा.
कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं था. मतलब वो
Yeah.
क्लियरली बोला आई एम नॉट ब्लेमिंग एनी बैट्समैन. बोला गिल वाज आउटस्टैंडिंग बट आई
गिल
डोंट
पे
थिंक
तो गुस्सा
एनीवन
भी हो गया थोड़ा.
आई डोंट थिंक एनीवन डिड एनी मिस्टेक. अब मतलब उसने जो बोला तो मेरे को नहीं लगता कुछ ज्यादा चेंजेस होंगे. एक तो ऑब्वियस चेंज है वो कुलदीप यादव पक्का आ रहा है नदीम के बदले. मेरे को नहीं लगता नदीम खेल रहा है सेकंड टेस्ट, और मेरे को नहीं लगता कुछ चेंजेस हो रहे हैं, और करने से मतलब भी नहीं है क्योंकि एक वेल सेटल्ड टीम में ज्यादा चेंजेस करने से कोई मतलब नहीं है. अगर बुमराह का वर्कलोड मैनेज करना और सेकंड टेस्ट अपन अच्छा जीत जाते हैं तो मे बी थर्ड टेस्ट वी माइट सी सिराज और
Shami is back from the third test.
हाँ
He'll play for sure.
हाँ, so पिंक टेस्ट मैच में मे बी अपन लोग 3 पेसर के साथ जाएंगे तो बुमराह को रेस्ट दे सकते हैं, अगर या तो बुमराह विल बी नॉट प्लेइंग T20 अगर वो चारों टेस्ट खेला तो एक चीज तो ये
Really.
Good point.
But अगर
So,
I
I think
think
one
WTC will
offbeat
take
change.
precedence.
Right.
Offbeat change हो सकता है कि if you want to keep Nadeem just for the fact of he gives a variation, he can exploit foot marks. Probably थोड़ा left field change होगा that we keep Nadeem and Ashwin as is, and we bring in Kuldeep for probably Washington Sundar.
That's not possible. It
Probably
gives us the batting depth.
I don't think we really मतलब batting wise उसका उतना use रहा given Ashwin's form. I mean Ashwin is playing pretty well as a batsman.
Actually, I mean,
We need a left-hander.
we
We need a left-hander like Sundar.
But given Rahul's form, we need
Can we'll answer it in somebody's segment. Who's next to speak? We can address it there.
So I think you want to take away. It's okay.
Okay, sure. So I agree with you, Malay. There is no need for any wholesale changes. We were outplayed. I mean, if this is currently this is perhaps the best 11 we can put out. If this 11 cannot beat, then making too many changes ideally should not make a huge difference.
True.
Kuldeep is the only change I would consider because, as even Siddharth was saying, he offers something different, and perhaps on a dead track you need somebody who can offer something different, who can add a bit of variety and create some doubt in the batsman's mind. So Kuldeep should come in. Now, whom should he replace is the question. Should he replace Nadeem because Nadeem was like totally taken to the cleaners in both innings, or should he play him along with instead of Washington because Washington wasn't bowling and he also didn't get much from the wicket. Now, the issue with that is batting thoda weak ho jayega. But like you said, but do you need right? Correct. That's the point. So ideally, with Pant's form, top six should be enough. Ashwin can also bat. It's his home ground.
Exactly.
So I would like that change because that gives that gives an even better variety. A leg spinner and two finger spinners who can all turn the ball. So on paper, that looks a much stronger bowling lineup. So that would be a good option. But I don't think Washington will be dropped after his batting performance in the first inning. So I can only see Kuldeep coming in for Nadeem, and it'll be interesting the other pitch which they have probably around how that plays. Will it play the exact same way, or will they make it even rougher so that it turns from day one? Will be interesting to see. I hope they don't. I hope they stick to the same strategy because this has worked for India for the last few years, and we certainly do not need a dust bowl which starts turning from day one and we lose the toss and then again we are in trouble. So
this has worked for India only when we have won the toss. Anyway.
Yeah, true. Exactly.
Correct. Exactly. South Africa series only we won the toss, so we were able to demolish them. So I hope we go with the same strategy, and just Kuldeep would be the only change I would see.
So there is no strategy at all. It's just luck then. Win the toss.
India won in Australia without winning the toss. So.
I'm talking about India.
That was offered in the
India won against England without winning the toss last series.
Yeah, 4 tosses we lost and we won 4-0. So my point was just continue the same idea we had, that let the pitch be flat for a few days and let it deteriorate on the last day. Because I'm sure if we bat first, we will more or less be high favorites to win the game. And
probably I think not flatness is fine. I think probably it can be a bit quicker. I think the wicket.
Right. Exactly.
Is the curator the same guy?
Should be.
Yeah, same guy.
This is his first ever cricket pitch.
So he has
India has a tendency of rewarding mediocre players, captains. So curators क्यों बच जाए?
Nice. That's part of our
Are you talking about Dhoni or what?
नहीं यार मैं दादा की बात कर रहा था.
Chalo, I think we're done with this last topic. I love this topic. That is Virat's last 4 tests as captain. An interesting pattern. सबसे पहला New Zealand था. We got a small lead in the first innings, completely bottled the second innings, gave them a 130-ish, 140-ish kind of target.
Well done, Pranav. Nice bottle effect.
And they chased this down easily, 7-8 wickets. Second test, I don't know, was it the first or I'm mixing the two?
Yeah, second
first test.
First test was to complete demolition.
Almost lost by an innings. 10 run.
9 run का target, 10 run का target दिया था, and it was almost lost by an innings. We got like 120, 130 SA in both innings. Second test, there was a bit more fight, but second innings collapse. Adelaide, once again, fight. We were there or thereabout somewhere until the first innings. Actually, not somewhere. We were actually ahead.
Leading.
We had the lead, yeah.
And then total fold in the second innings. And then again, Abhivi. So definitely, the manner of the last four defeats and also how we have crumbled in tough situations all the time. That is the two things. What we want to discuss is it down to the captain? Because if you compare that with Rahane's record, it's amazing. I mean, Rahane's record as a captain is like probably the best ever, almost, if you don't consider the low number of games that he had. Is it down to? I mean, there was a lot of talk because Kohli is maybe too aggressive or maybe asks too much of his players, and that sort of doesn't help them get their best out. So, is it something about his captaincy that he needs to look at, or there's some pattern that is emerging now? So
Like,
we'll
even if
start
it's a
with,
trend,
yeah, we'll start with Sabit.
okay, so what I wanted to say is, even if it's a trend, there is no point debating it, right? Because the other captaincy choice we have is a passenger. Now we can't give him captaincy when he can bat. So there's no
That
point
is
debating
true. But to be fair, Kohli himself, when he was asked this question, not obviously passenger, but he was asked about the kind of shots and Rahane and all that, and he said, "Ki I'll repeat, Pujara and Rahane are the two main batsmen of our test setup." So the management does not see Rahane as someone who is not a permanent member or who is droppable. I don't know if they'll change it because they sometimes
They often do.
they often do, not sometimes, yeah. But they definitely, at the moment, they don't see Rane as someone who is droppable. So, yeah,
talk
let's.
about the management, then they don't see Kohli as droppable either. So that's not the point.
पर
What I would
Rane
like to say is that Piyush, sorry.
Let's go to Piyush first. Piyush बहुत time से बोल रहा है.
ड्रॉपेबल का मतलब ठीक है, अब टीम का वाइस कैप्टन और कैप्टन है, so you can't just drop your team's captain and vice captain despite the form they are in. मतलब वो हो जाता है कि तुम you back your captain and vice captain जो तुमने सिलेक्ट किया है. अब ऐसे नहीं कि 4 मैच या 5 मैच खराब खेल लिए तो ठीक है निकलो, ऐसा टाइप का नहीं हो पाएगा ना. तो मतलब
कैप्टनसी पे क्या थॉट है? 4 गेम हो गए, चारों में
कैप्टेंसी में देखो, मतलब अब वो तो एक वो है कि मेरे को नहीं लगता कि कैप्टेंसी का कुछ इसमें एरर था. मतलब आप जो 36 ऑल आउट गेम देखो ऑस्ट्रेलिया में, जो अभी वाला गेम देखो, आप उसमें क्या विराट कोहली की मुझे एक मिस्टेक बता दो जो एज अ कैप्टन किया उसने.
पंच साहा 36 ऑल आउट में,
36 ऑल आउट में पंच शाह वाज नॉट विराट कोहली कॉल पूरा अकेले का.
नहीं, but strategy
It was his call. He is the captain in Indian team. The captain is the
We
main
have to take responsibility. If we can give him credit for those things, then we have to give him blame for those
चलो,
things.
पर पंत और शाह से भी अपना ऐसा नहीं था कि पंत खेलता तो अपन लोग वो सिडनी में कोलैप्स बच जाता. उसका बॉल इतना ज्यादा मूवमेंट कर रहा था. मतलब वो एक प्लेयर में वो नहीं कर सकते कि साहा और पंत के सिलेक्शन के बेसिस में. पर अब टीम सिलेक्शन ठीक है, उसके बाद जो उसने डिसीजन लिए है, मतलब ऑन फील्ड डिसीजन और कि उसकी बैटिंग, या मतलब मेरे को नहीं लगता जो चेन्नई मैच में अगर विराट के जगह रहाणे भी कैप्टन होता तो विराट का कैप्टनसी मेरे को तो फर्स्ट इनिंग में अच्छा लगा जब वो बॉलिंग कर रहा था. बॉलिंग चेंजेस और फील्डिंग सब ठीक था. मतलब अब एक दो तो हर गेम में होता है. यू कैन नॉट गेट 10 आउट ऑफ 10 बॉलिंग चेंज करेक्ट. मतलब वो तो अपने को भी सिचुएशन नहीं पता. मेरा वो कहना है कि अब कैप्टन को इसमें ब्लेम करना विदाउट एनी लाइक मेजर मिस्टेक व्हिच ही डिड, आई डोंट फील इज करेक्ट. इट्स जस्ट दैट द लक, इट्स जस्ट अ कोइंसिडेंस कि वो लूजिंग साइड में रहा है, क्योंकि पूरा टीम उतना अच्छा परफॉर्म नहीं किया है.
But see, मेरा point strategic नहीं है, because I personally feel कि test में there is not a lot you can do because it's mostly मतलब pattern is set and
it's a fixed pattern.
Eventually classy players or good players would come up. The problem is जब ऑस्ट्रेलिया में हम थे, the freedom with which our guys were playing, right? मतलब you look at someone like Shardul, who's probably not as talented or not as fluent or whatever. But if you look at Shardul, the freedom which he was playing, Washington, the grit that someone like Vihari and Ashwin showed the other day, मतलब वो पूरा vibe ही missing हो जाता है when unfortunately Virat is captain. तो मेरा point is not more strategic. मेरा point is more about his personality and management of his players. मतलब
हाँ,
is that
पर
I
देखो
can
अब
go in that. Okay, okay.
हाँ, एक बस वो लास्ट में को जो बोलना है कि जो बोल रहे कि वो फ्रीडम और वो नहीं, पर वी आर इग्नोरिंग द फैक्ट कि जो टेस्ट साइड में जो चेंजेस आए हैं इंडिया में वो विराट के फ्रीडम के बाद ही आए हैं। मतलब जो
Exactly.
विराट ने जो स्टेज दिया है, जो प्लेटफॉर्म
Yes,
दिया
of course.
प्लेयर्स को, और एक ये तो सब जन एक्सपेक्ट कर रहे हैं भी अपना जो ये टेस्ट मैच में मैं विराट कैप्टनसी का इतना बड़ा फैन नहीं हूँ, ये सब पता है सबको। मैं T20 लिमिटेड ओवर्स में आई एम नॉट अ बिग फैन ऑफ विराट एज अ कैप्टन, बट टेस्ट मैचेस में मेरे को जो इम्प्रूवमेंट दिखा है, मेरे को आज तक, मतलब आई वॉच्ड गांगुली, धोनी, विराट, मतलब जो टीम बनाया वो विराट की टीम है, कोई एग्री करे ना करे, ये जो टीम है वो विराट की, ये मेरा मानना है। और
Agree.
मैं इसमें एग्री नहीं करता कि वो प्लेयर्स खुल के नहीं खेल रहे, क्योंकि अब रहाणे, अभी कोहली के उसमें भी कोई डेब्यूटेंट नहीं आया। अब जैसे अब वो तो कोइंसिडेंस की बात हो गई ना वापस, अभी जैसे कोई गेम में डेब्यूटेंट नहीं है अपने पास कि उसको वो नहीं बैक नहीं किया। जैसे अब नदीम को भी उसने पूरा बैक किया, ऐसा नहीं कि वो अच्छा नहीं फेंक रहा था कि उसको निकाल दिया कि नहीं भाई आई वोंट, मतलब वैसा मेरे को नहीं लगा फील। तो आई डोंट एग्री ऑन दैट कि ही डजंट गिव द फ्रीडम टू प्लेयर्स टू प्ले, बट वो एक कोइंसिडेंस है मेरा मानना है। पर देखो अभी ये सीरीज में डिपेंड करता है नेक्स्ट 3 गेम्स कैसे होते हैं बिफोर पासिंग एनी जजमेंट इज व्हाट
और ये जो बात है ना फ्रीडम वाली, थोड़े मीडिया नैरेटिव्स हैं आई थिंक इसमें, नथिंग मच टू लुक इनटू। एंड आई एग्री विद पीयूष, ये जो टीम है स्पेशली द पेसर्स एंड ऑल, दीज आर मेड बाय वीके एंड ऑल, तो ये वीके की टीम है। बाकी आज जो जो इस मैच में हुआ, आई थिंक वी लॉस्ट द मैच इन द फर्स्ट इनिंग्स इटसेल्फ, so it was more down to the collective batting unit, not just Virat. इसमें कुछ strategy वैटेजी वाला था नहीं। लास्ट सीरीज हम देखें, होम सीरीज, इंग्लैंड स्कोर 450, we used to get 5 अपना 550। if you bat 90 overs in a home ground, मतलब आपने सिर्फ एक दिन बैटिंग करी है in India on a flat pitch, you lost the match there and then only. इसमें इज नथिंग ऑन टू वीक। और न्यूजीलैंड को मुझे इतना याद नहीं है, सो आई एम नॉट गोइंग देयर। 36 ऑल आउट, नो कमेंट। तो एक एबरेशन, सारे कैचेस हाथ में चले गए। अब उस पे आप विराट पे बोल लो, जो मर्जी बोलो। रहाणे डेफिनेटली, रहाणे से क्या होता है, रहाणे पे जो मीडिया अटेंशन आता है ना, वो सिर्फ रहाणे पे नहीं आता। यू नो एवरीवन इज इक्वल। थोड़ा विराट से वो तो रहता है, उसका थोड़ा सा एक मीडिया अटेंशन वाला पॉइंट रहता है। यू नो एवरीथिंग इज फोकस्ड ऑन विराट।
मतलब अपन थोड़े हाफ चांसेस भी लेते, फॉर एग्जांपल वी मिस सो मेनी चांसेस इन दिस गेम आल्सो, तो इट आल्सो points to a limited kind of thoda feared approach when he's
थोड़ा वो
on
है, that's why I don't like him in the limited overs.
I would like to say कि like there's never a fixed answer that is Virat Kohli the reason or is he not the reason. There's always a combination of factors. Firstly, the thing is कि Kohli is a charismatic leader and he leads and everyone follows. And it's true that he's a kind of player who has very very high expectations and he expects that सब लोग भी उसके जितना ही effort डाले, जो obviously possible नहीं है. So maybe in his presence, the players, I wouldn't say they don't feel freedom, but maybe there is that slight apprehension there. But when Rahane was leading, it kind of felt like every individual was their own leader. Bumrah was his own leader, Ashwin was his own leader, and they were all kind of themselves. So it is true that without him, the others, they did put their hand up and they were being themselves. But also, I would just give him a little bit of benefit where if you look at the 4 results in particular, New Zealand, I have mentioned on the group that we have zero familiarity with New Zealand conditions. How to bowl at Bay Oval or at Basin Reserve, how to use the wind, how to strategize. We have genuinely no idea. We did not play any first-class game, I think. Whereas New Zealand, Bolt and Saudi are absolute masters at their craft in those conditions. And I think we were just totally caught off guard. And hence, I feel that was the main reason, because when we go to Australia so often, we go to England also. So I feel that that lack of familiarity was a reason, and their planning, as I said, was just superb. The way they just exposed Rahane to the short ball, Kohli ko bhi kaise expose kiya. I feel maybe if next time we go to New Zealand and we prepare better, I'm sure we can win. And as far as these 2 matches go, first test of the series, our first test blues कुछ ना कुछ तो गड़बड़ होता ही है. Like 36 all out में, we did not actually lose the match in that 36 का innings. Australia got a lead. Australia cut the lead from what could have been 130 111 for 8 होता अगर पेन का कैच लेते to just 55, that's where the match actually kind of turned. And I feel that even this test match, same thing, that we were just under pressure and we did not ever get get any release from it. We were just constantly under pressure. And I would like to think that these last two games which under Kohli we lost were more due to like first test nerves. But again, I would say that yeah, the test team has, or the team in general, the culture has changed under Kohli. They're more positive. Like जो हम लोग गए runs के लिए in Australia and here, this we have to say is the Kohli approach, that because he himself has said he does not like draws. वो 2014 Adelaide maybe we could have easily drawn, but last session में he went for the total and we fell short. So that we have to give him credit, that the team looks for the win first rather than looking for a draw. But he himself also has to maybe look into the way he's managed, more than strategy, the way he manages the team, because it cannot be कि उनके बिना players play differently and play, when he's there. So he has to maybe look into it for himself a little bit. Maybe not expect as much from the players as he expects from himself. Maybe that would maybe the slight, release would help the team more. But I would not totally say it's his fault कि तो last 4 tests में जो हुआ है. But anyway, I hope कि next test following we go back to the pattern of winning. That's all I can say.
I just hope there is with or without का वो बन जाता है ना. There is a full stat
Right.
that I just hope. Anyway, Darshil, let's go and then let's wrap this up. Let's say.
Yeah. So I think probably in terms of Kohli, I've always felt that as a limited overs captain, he's has a lot of scope for improvement. But in test matches, I think he's ideal because Kohli cannot plan for tournaments. I think that all we can agree for. I think he's more of a bilateral series player. He can plan teams well for a bilateral tour or a tri-series. So I think as a testing captain, he is definitely good. Goes back to the point that I think we are his team in terms of the pace bowlers is better prepared for conditions outside India. That's one thing. And second, the losses that we have seen. I don't think it's got to do with the players. I think Pujara was playing his natural game here. So was Pant. I think people played their natural games. I personally felt that his captaincy could have been better. Like not just the mindset. I think starting with 2 cover fielders on day 1 when the ball is not even catching 2 slips was a pathetic move. And similarly, not bringing Washington onto bowl when Nadeem was getting trashed left, right, and center also was a bad move. So I think these are areas probably where he can. Kohli is normally very reactive, but sometimes he just does not. He keeps backing his horses and his guns, and that's probably an area he can look to improve upon when the team is, opposition team is going. Maybe he can be more. We don't know this. Probably I don't know how much receptive he's to advice. मतलब कितना रोहित से पूछता है, कितना वो रहाने से पूछता है, कितना पुजारा अश्विन से कंसल्ट करता है. We don't know. It's always speculation. What if they are or they are not. But I think let's not read too much into this loss. Losing in New Zealand, as Pranav said, was definitely. Winning in New Zealand would have been a miracle. मतलब ऐसे ही easy नहीं होता New Zealand. हम लोग वैसे ही कम practice करते हैं. वहाँ की conditions अलग है. Australia first series was a once in a probably a century kind of a thing, because India played 9 false shots and got out on all 9 of them. That's like unheard of. Itna accuracy again. Har false shot per wicket again. So I think it's more to do with the superior bowling by Australia then. And I think in this match we got outplayed, not because of poor captaincy. I think just because of like a lot of other factors which we already spoke about.
I couldn't think of many chances we dropped also.
I think probably you can. Yeah.
Correct, exactly. Right? A lot of catches dropped. They were more like later.
Match ही drop कर दिया, chances क्या drop
like Rohit dropped a dolly, Pant missed a stumping, but वो सब मतलब the game was over by then.
Right.
England were far ahead.
England, and I think we cannot complain about us missing chances again because we didn't really have any. So I guess that's a good thing. Next game, clean slate.
But England took all their half chances. By
Root's
catch, Stokes ka catch, Anderson at 38.
The thing is, probably we are having this discussion ये पूरा हो रहा है because of the result in Australia. I think the team needs to move past that and kind of focus on what we have now, because Rahane का जो result Australia में आया, so it's now just given us a fresh topic कि यार चलो एक और alternative we think we have. But I don't think matlab itne. I mean, Rahane does well when he's asked to stand in. It's a different story to lead a team completely
Right.
all the time.
Exactly.
With
True.
24, all the series is, and given Rahane's own form, I don't think he can keep up with the demand of captaincy and batting. So let's not read too much into Kohli's losses right now. I think let's see how this series and the next series goes. And to be very, very fair, even if we lose to England in this entire series, England have come very well prepared and Root is in top form. So it wouldn't. It would be horrible and like it would be like really humiliating. But they are not a team that's like not here seriously. They mean business. And the only thing I'll say is that it's a semi-final and it's a ICC event. तो मतलब ठीक है थोड़ा तो कोहली का factor आना ही था.
Chalo, we'll move to
City,
Sid and then wrap up with one
his
last
favorite
one
topic,
thing.
and he
Yes.
gets the closing credits.
Yes,
So,
let's go,
like,
Sid. What
as
do you
you all
think?
know, I'll offer a contrarian view here. I personally feel that at some point we have to stop thinking that this is a coincidence. Like 4 tests and going, and I think like if this continues in the series, is the substantial enough sample size to say that maybe this isn't a coincidence. And like as that Shield said, like maybe we're taking too much stock of Rahane's captaincy in Australia, but like that was a once in a lifetime miracle type event. And I don't think like ऐसे event को ऐसे ignore कर सकते हैं that with a bruised and battered team against Australia, losing every single toss, beating them on their fortresses. So I think at a certain point of time, we have to start thinking, is this a coincidence? Like पिछले 4 टेस्ट में हमने देखा है players are underperforming against Kohli. Like as Malay said that strategically, yes, he has not done anything wrong, but there are things like there is something above doing something wrong, doing nothing wrong, right? Like रहाणे के अंदर हमने देखा कि हर प्लेयर आके डेब्यू कर रहा है,
कोई
नेट
भी आके
बॉलर्स आ रहे
perform कर
हैं,
रहा है, हाँ.
कोई भी आके like they're outperforming the best in the business. They're outperforming Hazelwood, Stark, like Natarajan, who probably didn't even think that he would be playing a test match. Washington Sundar picked as a net bowler, Shardul Thakur. Like, kahin se bhi aake they're giving otherworldly performances. I think there is something right that itne players are overperforming over a sample of 3 matches, Siraj as well. And then compared to Kohli, where players are constantly underperforming their potential. Like we know that Rohit is capable of a lot more. We know that Rahane is capable of a lot more. We know that a lot of players are capable of a lot more. So I think strategically, like इतना चलो गलत नहीं कर रहा, but कुछ ना गलत करने से भी ऊपर होता है. Like कुछ ना गलत करना is not the bar we should hold ourselves to. And the way Rahane like let the players outperform, is overperform their potential, is something that maybe we should take stock of. I think if we don't make the World Test Championship final, I think it will be one of the greatest bottle jobs in recent cricketing history. कि हम ऑस्ट्रेलिया में like रहाणे ने इतना किया and उसके बाद भी इंग्लैंड को हमें 2-1 हराना था. That will be a big humiliation. And if that happened, I think there's more serious questions that would come on Kohli's captaincy. One more thing is maybe like it's easier to motivate the team as an underdog, as Rahane had like backs to the wall, nothing to lose, while Kohli has that pressure that okay, we're favorites now.
Kohli
But
being in the team himself
I
makes
don't
that
think,
team favorite.
yeah,
Matlab,
I don't
that's
think
the
like that is an excuse because like
that's it.
Kohli has gotten us to a very high level, but it is like even harder to sustain that high level. Like it's harder to sustain greatness than to be great. So I think like as we have seen in almost every sport recently, in football and cricket, ki greatness sustain karna. So if we want to take that next step as one of the greatest teams in history, he has to start sustaining that greatness as the favorites, live up to the expectations, get rid of the complacency. हम like हर चीज को coincidence किसी level के बाद नहीं बोल सकते कि ये coincidence है, ये aberration है, यहाँ lack of preparation है, यहाँ outperform कर दिया. That's like lack of preparation and planning. Like वो भी team management का ही है, वो हमें रोज daily नहीं दिखता, but team management को ही करना चाहिए वो भी. So I think after a certain point of time, this would stop becoming a coincidence. And I think this England series is very critical because even if we win it, it's not really a big deal, I would say, because like we are almost expected to win in our sleep. Australia series के पहले हम सोच रहे थे हम ऑस्ट्रेलिया में 4-0 हारेंगे, यहाँ 4-0 जीतेंगे, and we would qualify. So, and even Kohli said that in his press conference yesterday that like nobody gave England a chance before this match. So even he was listening to that, and maybe that was also playing a subconscious. Like उसने खुद बोला कि nobody was giving England a chance before this match.
Kohli is the Ole of cricket. Yeah. Semi-final आते ही भाई सारा performance पानी में.
And like now,
or partly Jose as well, you could say. Players underperforming under him.
So like, and he's also becoming the Jurgen Klopp by blaming the SG ball, by blaming Jadeja. Like, for the Jurgen Klopp, like अब कल wind बोलेगा, sun बोलेगा, so like you have to
K for
stop these
Klopp, K for
excuses and,
Kohli. Coincidence?
Chalo,
Like,
so yeah, do you
have
want
to sustain the sustain the greatness. And I think like this England series is make or break. I don't think it will have like too much make even if he wins. I think World Test Championship final will, but this could be potentially the breaking of his legacy as the Indian Test captain if we bottle this.
Interesting. Chalo, yeah, we're way over time, guys. But I think
Right.
great conversation. But I just want to add one more thing and finish. Just one words from each of you. Who do you think will win the World Test Championship? Just one team name. That's all I want. Let's start with Piyush.
New Zealand.
Darshil.
I think India.
Pranav.
I'll go with India as well.
Sarvik. You're muted, bro.
Yeah, even I think it will be India.
Siddharth.
New Zealand.
Amin.
New Zealand.
So 3 New Zealand, 3 India. I will leave it at tied because I think England will win the World Test Championship. Joe Roots Sharks will.
ये लाना ही था end में.
Chalo. Okay, guys.
Okay,
Great
guys.
fun. Let's meet again next time. Tab tak
Bye,
ke
bye.
liye,
Sure.
bye everyone. Bye
Bye,
bye.
guys.
See you.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.